Running fans, jumping fans, stowing fans, all around athletics fans, welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on this Tuesday, October 14th, 2025? Hyatt, you survived the rains. You
did.
made it out of wet New Jersey. How are you?
I am doing quite well. It was a very interesting week in this sport, and I can't wait to kind of touch on it later. We have a lot of things that we have to get to, so I don't want to bore everyone now because we're going to get to it soon.
And I'm happy to have you back because you were not available for last week. And, we had a fun show, but it's always better when you are around.
It was a great show, man. It was very, very educational, and it just full of so much knowledge and information about how things are run at such a high-end level place.
Yeah, and speaking of that show, we had Lauren Primerano on last week, the administrator over at Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex, and also Manhattan University future Hall of Famer over there. She was one of the first women in the NCAA to pole vault, the first woman at Manhattan to pole vault. So it's crazy to think, Hyatt, that it really wasn't that long ago that women weren't allowed to pole vault at the collegiate level. It is wild.
When I was in high school, the state of New Jersey had no triple jump for boys or girls, and that was just in the 90s.
Yeah, no. So the adaptation and just the way the sport has grown is so freaking rapid. So we had a great time talking to her. Before we get into all the fun stuff, make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating wherever you are. If you're watching from X, Facebook, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, hello to all of you. Thank you. We appreciate you all. But I want to get into it right away because this week's guest is somebody that we look forward to talking to every single year. He always puts on a fantastic event. So let's bring him in. He is Jeff Benjamin. He is a senior writer for Larry Edder's RunBlogRun, the mayor of Staten Island running, and also a individual in 2003 who received the prestigious James Dunaway Award for Journalism Excellence in Track and Field from the Writers Association. What's going on, Jeff?
How you doing, guys? Everybody good? You nice and dry?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
It was rather wet yesterday. It just rained all day.
It did.
But I mean, listen, I will say this, for hurricane season and the way it's supposed to be, I think we've gotten off so far pretty good. That was our first real storm that's hit us.
Yep.
I mean, we still have November to get through. November usually brings us some stuff, but I mean, we're doing pretty good. Let's keep it
so far
up.
So good.
This is my favorite hurricane season so far. So, Jeff, it's always good to have you on. Like I said, you put on the gala, and it's unfortunate. Last year we were there as the live stream show with our fun technical difficulties. The mixer that I use today is from me running over to the radio store to grab a new mixer because I forgot it like an idiot. But we were able to have a good time last year. Unfortunately, Dave and I will not be able to come to this year's Legends Gala, which was such a blast last year. Let's get started right there real quick.
It's amazing.
Because what is the Staten Island Marathon Week Legends Gala? What is it you guys do there?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. Greatly appreciate it. And I want the public to know that I do want these guys back. There was nothing of an altercation or any negative thing at all. So, you guys are
all on us.
Yeah, it's on us. It's scheduling.
Yes. Absolutely. But your legends do precede you. So sometimes you got to be a little careful, but you behaved very well last year. It was really phenomenal. It was great to have you.
Thank you.
Every year, the Wednesday before the New York City Marathon, we have the first New York City Marathon event somewhat, the Staten Island Marathon Running Legends Youth Gala. And it's put on by my organization, the Staten Island Running Association. I'm the board chair. We have a new president, Michael DeVito, who took over as president from the outgoing president, Michael Schnall, and a board of about 12 of us. And pretty much we come up with these crazy ideas to have this kind of gala and combination of stuff. We honor people in the community for service, named after prominent Staten Island running, track, and field people who have given a lot to the community in their lifetimes. And, we usually talk with the families of those who the awards are named for, and, come up with some names and stuff, and, with the board and stuff. So, so we're really very fortunate to honor people in our community who really deserve it and be recognized. One award that's brand new this year is the Bill Welsh Extraordinary Performance Award. Bill Welsh, who passed away at 94 years old last 2 years. Wow, yeah, 2 years ago, was Staten Island's greatest runner, coach, friend, teacher on all facets. And he was extraordinary, to say the least. He was a top 20 finisher in the Boston Marathon in the 1950s. He beat Ted Corbett for an AAU 15-kilometer road race championship in the early 60s. Later on, went on to coach Charlie Marsala, Staten Island sub 4-minute miler who ran for Indiana, and also coached Bill Jankunas, who won the Olympic trials in the high jump, 7 feet, 7 3/4 inch. And if I know my field stuff correct,
Lots of talent.
Bill's jump today would still make the team.
I believe so.
Or he would be in the mix, which is pretty amazing.
Yep.
And, Mr. Welsh was always there for any runner of any ability, and just an extraordinary man. And there is a film made about him called 10 Gold Medals. If anybody wants to go online and see the trailer, he had turned 80 when the film came out, documentary, taking all forms of medication for his cancer. And, doctors saying he had a year to go, and he lasted another 15 years. And he was going to compete like almost like a decathlon, all 10 events at a USATF New Jersey Masters National Championship. And so, like I said, extraordinary. So this past year, after consulting with my board and with the Welsh family, we came up with this award to honor a male and female from Staten Island of any level, any ability, who did something defined as extraordinary.
Fantastic.
And I have to tell you, this year was very easy. For the men, it was Will Cuthbertson. Will runs for Empire Elite under John Troutman.
Yes, he does.
And he became the second Staten Islander to break 4 minutes for the mile. He did it at the Westchester Mile event in August, running 3:56.
And shout out to Empire Elite and what John Troutman's doing over there with, just pure grit. And
I don't know how he finds time between there and, I mean, his NYU team's ranked #1 now.
Yep. And keep in mind, he has no sponsorship. He has no shoes.
Which is
nothing.
a travesty that Empire Elite is not sponsored. There's some of them in this area.
Listen,
it's ridiculous.
We've had Eric Holt on tour. I mean, he's finally now sponsored.
Yeah, he's a Puma, but the team overall has
and Alan, those guys, those guys need to be able. Those guys work hard, man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, and the girl who's being honored is a girl who just went into freshman year, Abigail Rabitsky, who runs for the Ocean Breeze Wave Runners.
Very nice.
She won the 200 and 400 at the USATF Junior Nationals in Eugene.
There you go.
And to really scare the hell out of everybody, an 8th grader, she ran 54 seconds for the 400 meters. And on top of that, the parents made a decision to go over the outer bridge every day now to bring her to Union Catholic High School, where she's being coached by Sidney McLaughlin's coach,
Mike McCabe.
Yep. So, like I said, it was a no-brainer this year for those two awards.
Are we getting the next Natalie Dumas coming out of Staten Island there? Is that what we see?
We'll see what happens,
Listen, Union Catholic is an amazing team. She's going to be very well coached, and I'm excited to see where it all goes.
We'll be talking about it. 100%.
And the thing is, like I said, we get a lot of legendary guests, as you guys know.
Absolutely.
We are very, very fortunate. I mean, our group is just a grassroots, group. We don't have a ton of money, and we rarely cover any kind of fees or expenses, but we rely on unbelievably generous people out there, not just in Staten Island, but throughout the country.
Yep.
Who see what we do. And, the major thing with our gala is that we have about 120 to 150 kids come free of charge.
Which was so cool to see. They were so excited last year. And, I do have to say that I think the kids understand the privilege that they have by going there too, because when I had to say a bunch of high school kids have the ability to get a little bit, raucous and, get going, but they were very well behaved. They were fantastic last year.
It was awesome.
And they just enjoyed themselves. They had a great time being there. What you guys do for just individuals, kids to come there for free, to be next to, I mean, we were starstruck, right, Dave? When we sat down with Ivy and
Joan Benoit. I mean,
Joan Benoit, and got to be in a car with Dave Waddle. How much more? What can we want? It was awesome.
You're like, hey, Dave, do you want to go with us? He's like, absolutely.
And what's so interesting is that all these guys and female legends, it's definitely a flair for the dramatic, And without a doubt, when we bring these people in, the kids, when they first come, do not know who these people are.
Nope.
where we do a little background and then we show a video.
Yep.
And after that, we have what we call the Beatlemania moment. Then all of a sudden, these kids want autographs and pictures and
Absolutely.
selfies and all that stuff. And the big guest we have coming this year, 87 years young, is the great Billy Mills, who, by
Love
the way,
it.
today's his anniversary.
So cool.
Yes.
Today in 1964,
Yep.
Won.
he won his Olympic 10,000 meter, the only American ever to do it. And if you want to take a look at the shirt that I'm wearing here, I have this thing on.
There you go.
All right. Yep. Commemorative shirt. And we're just really lucky to have Billy coming.
Sure.
And if people out there don't know who Billy Mills is, boy, if you're waking up that morning, gee, I don't feel like running very well. Go on YouTube and find the movie Running Brave with Robbie Benson playing Billy Mills.
I don't even think I have my tape anymore because I played it so many times. We watched that movie in high school so many times. That, Chariots of Fire, Jericho Mile, like so many great movies, because there wasn't many movies in that genre. So like when you had one, you just gravitated to it, and knowing that like Billy Mills was this actual human who did all these amazing things, and to watch. And I just thought that the picture really depicted kind of the realism. It was the first time that I kind of watched a race unfold in a film that I could actually believe was an actual race. So
right. And when you watch the real footage, I mean, track was a contact sport. It's so funny because what happened with Cole Hocker at the Worlds, that was okay back in 1960.
Sure,
it was. And the
rules
thing
have
is, it's like,
changed, and that's all right. Rules have changed in all the sports,
of course,
over the last 61 years. But like I said, we're blessed to have Billy. Billy, some of grew up almost, lost his mother and father by the age of 12. Born half Lakota, Sioux, half white. Couldn't fit really in either world. He let his running do the talking, as I like to say. But when he went to the University of Kansas on a full scholarship, he still had to adjust. He had a lot of challenges, a lot of issues. And Billy Mills' win in 1964 against Ron Clark and Mohamed Ghamoudi of Tunisia was called by Time magazine in 1999 as the greatest individual upset in Olympic history.
Sure.
He was not expected to do anything in that race. His 5K mark was his PR.
In the 5K, yep.
Yeah.
He just kept going. Like he had one of those days where it was just magic. Like nothing was going to stop him on that day. He might never run close to that ever again, but on that day, it all worked out.
Right.
And
although, a year later he would break the world record with Jerry Lindgren in the 6 miles. So it wasn't just
a flash in the pan.
No, but at that time it was something that people did not think, like, he wasn't even really talked about as someone who was going to really, like, he was there's an American in the race type of thing,
right?
And he was out there, and he just keeps hanging and keeps hanging. Right. It was awesome.
Right. And with Billy, from what I read, besides his visualization and his power of belief, when he ran at Kansas, a lot of it was under Coach Bill Easton. A lot of scoring points, things, a lot of endurance. Easton really didn't do much speed work with him. I remember hearing one line. I got to check with Billy. I remember reading something where Easton was like, "Oh well, you're an Indian. You just run and run and run." And that was he did win a Big 8 cross country championship. Which is good. But and he makes the team for the 10,000. But when he left Kansas and joined the Marine Corps, he started doing more concentrated training. And he actually did run against Mohamed Ghamoudi prior to the Tokyo Olympics. I'm tempted to say in '63. And when that race was over, they were cooling down. And it was Ghamoudi who turned him on to the speed work that was necessary. So,
and it would be his undoing in '64, right? It's crazy. But that's just the community of runners, right? It's like,
fraternity.
And even to this day, even though like there is that competitive nature, but like with Strava, everyone knows what everyone's doing. But at the same time, there is that. Where did you get that kick from? You weren't doing this last year. Oh, I've been doing this training. I've been eating this, been sleeping this way. Like we don't have a problem. And I think that's athletes in general too, like in the off season type of thing, or, athletes will share a lot of that stuff. And when it comes to Running Brave, I feel like this generation currently doesn't have the running movie, right? Last generation, like the previous one had McFarlane USA, and that's the closest they have right now.
Sure.
I had Prefontaine and Without Limits. Dave obviously had, the Jericho Mile, Running Brave, and
Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire. But the thing is, it's like, if you're of this generation, Running Brave is a movie you need to watch because I think they get turned on to because
Well, you know
my
what it is now?
generation is coaching right now. So it's like you'll sit there and they'll say, okay, go watch Without Limits, go watch this. But
Right.
Running Brave is such a movie where kids should watch because
Well, you know what
it's
it is
another
now?
movie that amps you up.
It's
Yeah.
now it's everyone's looking for the next documentary to watch. That they're not having those like those cinematic releases because you can watch a 4 episode of Jakob training and his
Yeah.
life. So, like that has become more the norm. Is the
Yeah, but it's not
documentary
dramatized. It's just
yeah,
I
it's just
will
real life stuff, like not, but we need that like cinematic, fun running movie.
Right.
Like McFarlane was like, it was such a
Mhm.
great movie.
I think
Yeah.
they'll make one of Jakob. If Jakob accomplishes his goal of setting every single, world record 1500 and up, which is
Yeah.
his goal, he stated it 1500 and up, he wants them. And if there's a guy in our generation that can do it, it's Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And he's still young.
Yep.
I don't think people realize
He's like
how
24.
young he is and how
You're right.
dedicated he is.
Exactly.
Like
Cole Hawker as well. He's a young guy too. I mean,
Cole as well, but I think there's, and this is not a slight to Cole at all, but I think there's just certain times you can just see a talent and a pedigree and just like Sid, right? Sydney McLaughlin Leverone is like she's different, right? Everyone else can be great. Sid
yeah.
is just different. You can see it. Jakob has that about him. He's a prodigy that never stopped,
Yeah, but he
right?
can still lose
Yeah.
though. He can still
Oh,
lose.
listen, anybody can lose, right? Anyone
Yeah.
can lose on any given day.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I'm excited, and I think we will get the cinematic movie of Jakob if he accomplishes his goal, or even if he
Right.
gets close and fails. That'll be a fun thing because we love
Yeah.
watching failure as well in these types of
Yeah.
things.
The one thing I'll
Yeah.
mention too, there are 3 possible films that could be coming out. I hear through the grapevine of my world. Um, the Jim Thorpe movie stuff is always, there's
How
always
it hasn't been made
Should
yet
have
is
been made.
crazy.
that group that wants to get this Jim Thorpe movie going. LeBron James was part of production that the History Channel did this past summer, a 2-hour documentary on Thorpe, which was solid. It was solid.
Yeah.
The question is, will it gain traction that somebody will do it? But there are all these different
Good.
groups that are looking to do a Jim Thorpe movie. On top of that, Matthew Centrowitz,
Mhm.
there is a documentary. It's in the works. It is, from what I've heard, it's pretty much been completed. Now it's just a
Mm.
question of releasing it. And it would be like typical to the theme of the book that they wrote, like Father, like Son, Matt
Yeah.
Senior
Cool. Yeah.
with
Cool.
Matt Jr. And Dave Waddle has been in talks with production
He
companies
should be.
the
It's
past couple of years.
one
Yeah,
of the greatest moments in track history.
yeah,
And the last man to beat Prefontaine.
yeah, he's been in discussions, and guys, in that kind of world, what I call the Hollywood movie world, it's all about the money.
Of
Uh-huh.
course.
You need the
100%.
money, and
Yes.
the
Yes.
producer's job is to get the money.
Mhm.
And and even when you get the money, it's sometimes not enough.
Sure.
There's
It's
such
hard.
logistics and
Yeah.
things that come into play, and it's very hard. And God knows how many movies have been made in Hollywood that were just shelved. You
Tons.
know?
Oh, there's so many that have been bought out by some companies because they don't want people to see the light of day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy. I want to go real quick.
So
We have a
Jeff,
comment,
go
Jeff,
ahead.
real
Yes.
quick towards
Yeah.
you. Jeff learned a lot from this guy at Ship XC Cam from Scoots Runs. So thanks for that. Thanks for dropping that line, Jeff. You have a fan.
Hey,
So
appreciate it. Yeah, that's Steve Spence's camp.
oh, there
So
you go.
yep,
Nice.
Steve Spence's camp, great guys, really great guys, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
So Jeff,
Jeff,
where real quick, I just
Good.
want to know where is the gala this year? What time? How
Sure.
much is it to get in there? Where can people get tickets?
Right. Basically, you want to try to get me on Facebook, or you want to go to the Staten Island Running Association website. Just Google Staten Island Running Association. We do have an Eventbrite site, but respectfully, people really have to get the money in as soon as possible. It's $80 per person.
Yep.
Well worth it.
If anybody wants to contact me with messages on Facebook, no problem. However, though, based on what is going on this year, we have had a massive influx faster than ever before, which
Love
means
that.
either the procrastinators are not procrastinating like in the past,
Mhm.
or we're going to sell out.
I have
And-
theories why.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, we were 2 seats short of the fire hazard, fire
I was
fire
there.
code at the restaurant. So I got a feeling that's going to be the same situation. I hate to say it like this, but in a way, for us, it's a bad thing that's good. But
Yeah.
we really want to implore people, please get your money in as soon as you can, because I would hate to, get a check or get them. We're going to close down the Eventbrite site once it's sold out, and if you show up that night with money, you're not coming. I'm
I
sorry.
will say this though: donate to Staten Island Running Association. If not, even if you can't event, but say you want to go, but you can, and it's like donate, because donations go a long way. Like Jeff said,
Like we
they're a
said,
small group of dedicated people that do some wonderful things, and if they can have some extra money in their coffers, then that always helps to
We'd be
put on
great. I mean,
events
we
like this and
sponsor a
things
lot
like
of
that.
stuff here in the we sponsor a lot
yeah,
of stuff here in the borough.
Yep, yep.
During the COVID, we sponsored, I think it was 15 laptops for kids in need, and we
Very
dedicated
cool.
that after
right.
the great Staten Island Runner Art Hall. We always do stuff like that. Staten Island cross country champs are taking place this Saturday at Ocean Breeze in the cross country course.
I love that they made that. It's so
Yep,
cool. We talked about that with Lauren last
the
week.
Yeah,
association covered all the shirts for the finishers,
Awesome.
including championship shirts for the teams at championships.
that's awesome. So,
So
Jeff, I mean, we have Billy Mills, amazing guest. Who else can these people expect to see there? Because
yeah. We have Bob Beeman coming, and by the way, Bob Beeman's anniversary is this Saturday coming up. That's the anniversary of his jump in 1968.
love it.
Bob, by the way, is in the process of launching a legacy group with his family and friends to
Awesome.
like really get a legacy going, more publicity, things like that, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
As he should.
Yep. I'm once again, I have Dave Waddle coming, the great Olympic champion from 1972 with the golf
So
cap.
cool.
And of course, everybody asks him, where's the cap? And I've been told by Lou Vasquez that
Really?
the cap is still on display in the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame in the Armory.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Along with Al Orton, 4 gold medals are there, from the discus, which is unbelievable.
Yep.
You really have great stuff there,
Yeah.
we also have some current athletes. A couple of years ago, Ajay Wilson came, and
Yep.
Ajay's coming back.
So
And we
cool.
also have Allie Wilson attending.
You know what?
Amazing.
Though?
Rolled
I
up to the
think-
Disney show. We have Allie and
Yeah.
AJ. As we
I
go.
think
there you
those
go.
I think those two reasons are why you might get a little bit of a younger crowd there, and maybe that's why you're getting people responding faster because
Right.
the legends are amazing. People love them, but people like to meet people who are currently competing.
Correct. And
So-
we're very lucky. Yeah, we got them. Bill Rogers, 4-time Boston, 4-time New York City Marathon
Amazing.
winner, always comes. Jeff Smith, who 40 years ago won his second Boston Marathon. If you remember that
Yep.
one with the hamstrings and the heat, Steve Jones, who set the world record in 84 and then missed breaking the new world record by 1 second 40 years ago, 1985. Tony Stainings, who is from Jersey. I think I mentioned you guys. You guys should try to have him on. Tony ran for Western Kentucky with Nick Rose from Great Britain. Today's an American citizen. Tony is a 2-time Olympian in the steeplechase, 76 and 80 at the Olympic Games. He also ran 102 for the half marathon, 13 minutes for 3 miles. Took on the likes of Eamon Coughlin and all these other guys indoors.
Jeff,
And-
anyone's information you want to pass on to us,
Oh,
we will
my
never
pleasure.
say no.
No.
My great pleasure. We also have here's a name to throw out to you. I got a call and he's coming. We have Dean Matthews, who lives in New Jersey now. Dean
very
Matthews
cool.
was an alternate for a world championship team in the early 80s. But if you remember the
Mhm.
early 80s, especially the 82 Boston Marathon, Dean Matthews was a major player in that race.
Yep.
Dean would go on the Honolulu Marathon, and I think his best marathon was 2:11. But there were a lot of Americans running 2:11 back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
and to be honest with you, because it's New York Marathon Week, people are in the city.
sure.
Some people just coming for the event, or they're working for a shoe company, or they're doing some
Yeah.
appearances and stuff. We don't know who's coming. Other people could be coming.
Mhm.
We're always exploring. We're always pushing. We're always looking. We
got Centro Senior coming again.
Who's that?
Centro.
Natty Centro Senior.
Central Senior still coming, and boys
He
and
better
girls,
be there.
something. His 402 mile in high school
Still
to
the
this
record.
day is still the New York State record
It's
for
crazy
the
to me.
mile from 1973, I think.
Central Senior would have broken 4 no problem in high
Oh,
school
yeah.
if we had these current tracks. He would have been a 355 guy.
Yeah.
Like he would have been
Well,
insane in high school.
Oh,
He's
forget
just
it.
tough, man. He's just that like talking to him. Like I get fired up. I'm like I
Oh
would
yeah,
just.
yeah. Good,
I'm
great
gonna
athlete,
miss.
great
Yeah, I'm
coach.
gonna miss talking to Central Senior.
You guys could have him on here too. So
He gets mad at me because I haven't read the book yet because I don't read books. I don't
Right.
sit down and read books anymore.
I read
And
it.
it's not
It's
on
good.
audiobook. I'm an audiobook guy. So
Right.
Matt Senior Senior gets mad at me because I haven't read his book yet. So he's not going to come on until I read his
I
book.
read
So
it
it's
twice.
completely and
So,
totally
so I
my
mean,
send it to me then
Well,
so I
you
can
read
read
it
it.
twice, so you didn't read it, so you kind of could divide it,
I was just saying,
No,
like
that won't
on
count.
the
You
show,
know,
it has been read twice. On
okay,
the show,
so
it's been
I
read
will
twice.
say this to both Jeff and Dave. Will that fly for Matt Centrowitz Sr.?
No.
Hell no. Absolutely not.
Right. Well, like I said, going forward, you never know. Oh, and we also have the former 400-meter world record holder Butch Reynolds attending.
Oh, Butch is there?
Awesome.
Butch
That's
is coming.
man, we suck.
And like I said,
Stop talking. I don't want to know anymore.
for whatever reason, we're thrilled to death with this stuff, but it's
Listen,
really puzzling how we seem to be the only organization in the country that does this on a yearly basis with people of this caliber. And we're just a bunch of people who love the sport. Like we don't have like this grand organization, so to speak, but we're able to do it. And I believe a writer from the Wall Street Journal might be attending to write a story on us about that thing, about how we're the only. I mean, we have people fly in. Mike Keogh, great runner from Manhattan College, lives in New
Yes, he
Orleans.
was.
He flies in every year for the dinner. He wants to see his old pals.
So cool.
We have people coming in from Ohio. Billy Neller, one of the creators of the Litchfield Hills Road Race in Litchfield, Connecticut, drives down. He actually rents a limo, drives down because he wants to hang out with Billy Rogers and Jeff Smith.
We should have Cliff Bosley come to you go from Boulder.
Ken Coughlin was there in 2019. If Eamon's in the New York area, we have the dinner. He always comes. So, Rod Dixon, unfortunately, is really based in New Zealand these days. It's more difficult for him to get here. But, but like I said, never know. We make a call that night that somebody's coming. And
last year I got to meet Jim Spivey. It was like, it was amazing. I was like, this is Jim Spivey.
Yeah, you guys had him on the show, right?
We did.
Oh, yeah. Because when I was young, like he was like the American Miler, and then it got kind of passed to like Holman for a little bit, but like it wasn't like it is now. Like these kids are spoiled, where we have, Americans are expected to.
We had a lot of almost, and I never thought I would say this, and I actually read it on one of the websites. The United States now in the Olympic Games in this century has won more gold medals in mid distance than we have in the sprints.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Isn't that incredible? Like
that's
Dave and I, like, look at that, you're like shaking your head. And when I write, I try to
Usain Bolt existed. That was the difficult. Usain Bolt existed, and that definitely put a damper on the American sprints.
Even the relays, the 4x1s and all that. And
that's because we can't get the damn baton around without driving.
You also have to think though too. They've had Elaine Thompson Hurrah. They've had Sharika Jackson. They had Shelly Ann for the Jamaicans, and then you have Julian Alfred coming in. You have Paulino coming in.
Johan Blake.
So it's like the Americans have had a lot of tough sledding.
Do you know who never gets any love anymore from Jamaica? Marlene Oddie. She started it off.
Marlene Oddie,
yes. She's kind of been forgotten at this point. That's true. The one thing, I tend not to write controversy very much because I really love the sport. I'm a biased writer. I'm not going to lie. I follow more with my heart, with my feelings. I'm not out to bash anybody. I don't want to write anything negative. However, though, I was so frustrated in 2016 that I did write an article for Larry Eater at RunBlogRun, basically why Carl Lewis and Leroy Burrell should be the coaches of the relay team.
Sure.
And I've seen Carl in action a lot. Even if he didn't win a single gold medal, he knows his coaching. He is
Carl's an amazing coach.
He's at Houston now,
become great coaches, and
they don't.
He is so technical and so driven with getting the best out of his kids at Houston. And listen, quite a few of his kids make Olympic finals and World Championships finals. They just don't run for the United States.
Well, what's his name? Huncliffe now, or what? He's running for Great Britain. He's had some guys.
One of the coolest things for New Jersey every year for a long time when Carl was coaching in New Jersey was getting to the meet of champs just to see Carl Lewis. I didn't bug him ever, but he was there for at least a decade when he was coaching over in high school in Jersey. Just there. All the time, coaching. A lot of his jumpers were incredible. He had a great stable of jumpers when he was there.
You see his drills, his micromanaging of his athletes in a good way.
But the thing with him,
being on top of them, but being on top of them with a positive force, and that's a very
it's funny. I thought he was going to go more like the MJ route, like getting into the business side of track, but he really stuck himself in with the coaching
likes coaching.
aspect and
Right.
doing this.
Well,
So that's cool.
listen, respectfully, he has his money. And
Yeah.
somebody actually asked me last year, Jeff, who is the highest paid American track and field athlete year in and year out? And I said, gee, I don't know. I was thinking, Cole Hocker,
Noah Lyles, I would have said,
Lyles,
or
and
or
somebody
uh,
said
or
no.
uh,
Somebody
Sydney,
said no. They said the answer is Carl Lewis. Carl still gets paid
which is
to go
sad
all
for
over
our
the
sport.
world. Right now, he's in the New Delhi Marathon in India, and he's not. Carl's not just going there. I mean, I'm sure they compensated him very, very well. And
Oh, yeah.
God bless
Oh,
him.
yeah.
I have no problem with athletes making as
Not
much
at all.
money as they can anyway.
But it also shows that that's not good for the current state. If Carl Lewis is still making more money than anybody else.
The other person I would have brought up is possibly
If an old
I would have
timer,
possibly thought of Otto Bolden because Otto's doing his announcing, and announcers don't make no money. They get,
no,
he's obviously under contract.
but he loves
So I'd
it. He
imagine
loves
Otto's
it.
making decent money too.
Yeah, but they, there's a passion, and all of
yeah.
us have that passion at some level. And
Mhm.
Wouldn't be here
like I
Monday
said,
at 9:30 if we didn't.
Well, it's Tuesday
exactly.
Sorry.
now. It is Tuesday today.
Very
But
true.
so real quick, Scoots Run's coming in saying he's my neighbor in Hummelstown. So that's
Hey, all right.
awesome.
So-
so with the gala, everybody needs to go. It's October 29th this year, correct?
October 29th. It's at Lagrecci Staten at 372 Forest Avenue. Please,
Gorgeous
please,
place.
please do not just show up. Don't do it. Don't do it. We have some muscle people around. We hired a couple of shot putters this year.
Hey,
I
listen,
love it. I love
you
it.
just need Beeman, man.
Right.
Beeman has all
Yeah,
the
Beeman will
presence.
take
If
care of that,
Beeman's
yeah.
like, get out of here, then
So I'll say this:
And,
if anybody
by the
does
way,
go,
if it's
Go
okay,
ahead.
back to Scoots really quick.
yeah.
I don't Hummelstown. My wife and I have a second house out in Hershey, Pennsylvania,
Oh,
and
nice.
Hummelstown is where we're based as well. So Staten
Right.
Island and the land of the chocolate as well.
So I do have to say, if anybody does go to the gala and you meet these individuals, the one thing they all share, and Dave can attest to this, Jeff, you're around them, the intensity isn't gone. The fire and the intensity of every single one of these individuals is still there. They're cheery, they're nice people, but there's just something different about these successful elite athletes. And just like when we had Dave Waddle on the show, just talking to him, I felt like he can go out and just go drop a 145, like right there. Like get up and just go do it. It's like the intensity and the drive
Johnny
of
Gray
these
too.
individuals, Johnny Gray, it's Joan Benoit, like they
Spivey
just
too. All those guys.
have such a fire about them, and it's so cool just to be around them, right? Their
Oh.
presence is still intimidating to this day of just how, and you could just see basically like, like I said about Jakob, like the
So
natural
nice, though.
talent
They're
and just
so
the
nice.
the
Right.
drive it takes to be great is still there for them. Their
Oh,
bodies
without a
maybe
doubt.
decided to get older on them, but the drive to still be elite and amazing is there. So just go there and enjoy and bask in their presence. It's so
Yeah,
much fun.
with Bill Rogers, Tom Dadarian wrote a great book, The Boston Marathon. It is a year in, year out, play by play of every single race from the founding up until almost the current day. I
pretty cool.
highly recommend that. That's a very motivating book. And when he gets to Bill Rogers, he writes, Bill Rogers is like the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. Everyone thinks that he doesn't have a brain because Bill is forgetful. Bill is like spacey, and everything, right? And then he says, but just like in the book, the scarecrow proves that he's the smartest one of all.
He remembers
that's
how to
Bill.
run when he needs to.
The gun goes off. Bill's intensity is there.
That's
You
awesome.
don't usually see it even before the race, but once the gun goes off, forget it.
Yeah.
And
There's
I've
some
heard
athletes
people
that are
talk
like
about how
that.
he grunts when you try to pass
Yeah.
him, stuff like that.
That's
And
awesome.
it was an
I have
intense competitor. And nicest guy on the planet,
Sure.
which is why a lot of runners of all abilities love Bill because he
Oh, he's
relates to them and
sweetheart.
everything. But when it's
Sweetheart.
time to compete, oh my God, it's like he gets into this totally different zone and he's like, I am going to win,
I love
So,
that.
Jeff, I have a
Yeah.
question. Because I think one of the major topics among the guests at the gala is going to be what happened this past weekend with Connor Mantz.
Yeah.
Breaking the American record in
Oh,
204. First of all, how do you rate that, like all time in terms of what we've seen from American runners? And how do you think the people at the gala are going to talk about it? Like positive light?
Well, respectfully, I'd love to have Connor Mantz come to the dinner.
Of course, yeah.
But like I said, we haven't really reached out to them in any way. And like I said, we're pretty much booked with our sponsors and stuff. If anybody out there wants to get us Connor, man, so we'd be more than
And
happy
he's
to
busy
take
at
him.
the moment.
No idea.
He's
People call me and say, "Hey, can we get this guy?" And I'm like, "You
sure.
call him, you cover him,
If you
you
want
got
to,
it."
go for it.
A lot of times it works, kind of shock. But with Connor, like, and I'm the history guy. I'm a little bit of an older guy and stuff. You know, I remember Connor's coach very well. Dave probably does too. Ed Eyestone. Ed Eyestone
Listen,
was
there
a
was
great runner. Ed Eyestone was the kind of guy who, like, as a runner, a lot of volume, a lot of cross country, almost like an Arthur Lydiard training
yep.
method, somewhat.
Yep, yep.
And he always peaked when it counted, as
Mhm.
did another great marathoner from the 80s, Pete Fitzinger. You know,
Yep.
these guys peaked when it counted. And that requires not just dedication, but patience in the athlete, faith in the coach, you know?
It's hard when the
And
results aren't coming
Have
early
you
and
got
other people are
did
getting
did
results
in that
early.
society, where people want instant,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
instant. You see these commercials and everything, get this done right away, fast, fast, fast. And marathon, all kinds of track and field stuff is not going to be instant.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
Connor, from the outside looking in, bought into Ed's philosophy. I can see Ed sitting down Connor 5 years ago and giving a projection of where he would be in
Yep.
2025.
It's not
'Cause
gonna
that's
be
how
on
Ed
the track.
operates. And Connor bought into it, where, some other people would give the program 5 or 6 months and then just bag it, you
Yep.
know? And
Did you
that's
guys by
the
chance
issue.
watch the race at all on TV?
I
Yeah,
didn't see the full race, but I saw
I
I
saw
saw a
a
lot
lot
of
of
clips.
Connor's
Listen,
race.
Ed Eyestone was on the call while Connor is winning the race. It was
That's
just like
awesome.
you could hear like the
The
joy and
emotion.
like tears in his eyes and the emotion.
Yeah,
Like that's a kid that I've known from first day of college, and here he is while his coach is on the call,
right.
setting the American record. It was awesome. Like you couldn't have done any better. Like I was getting pumped up for them both, because like it just
Yeah.
that moment. It was just
Yeah.
just the
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 greatest
the
feeling
fact
for a
that he was on the
coach,
call was cool.
I think the greatest feeling for a coach is to have that athlete that bought into what you're selling and they follow it to the T
And to
and
have it
you
work
achieve what
and
you
to pay
achieve.
off
Yep.
is
It
Yep.
makes
Yep.
you feel good as
It's
a
so
coach.
hard. It's so hard, even when we were kids, to find people who are willing to be like, I'll give it 3 years. I'll give it 4
Yeah,
months.
it's hard.
I'll
It's
give
very
it, I'm going to run 2:15 for my first
yeah. Well,
marathon
it's
with the hope that 3 years from now I run
yeah,
2:05.
and it's so hard now in college because kids are moving, but the amount of coaches that are changing schools every single
Yeah,
year is crazy. Like kids
very
commit,
hard.
and then kids commit. They're all excited to go to school, and all of a sudden, oh, that I mean, we saw it with Wetmore in Colorado.
Yeah,
Like kids are
yeah,
like, I don't want to run.
yeah. I
Now,
mean,
like
the one thing I found, there's no perfect training method. You look at Peter
no.
Snell, who set world records, 800, 1500, world record, gold medal. Snell ran like 150 miles a week. Then
right.
25 years later, along comes Sebastian Coe, does the same thing on like 40 miles a week with a whole load of weight
Mhm.
training. You know,
Yep.
Yep.
it really depends if the athlete is going to buy into that coach's philosophy.
100%.
And
Yep. So
if you buy in, amazing things can happen with
Here's
that.
a question
I
for
was
both of
lucky.
you.
I had coaches I never questioned my coaches, never. I was like,
oh
why are we doing it?
hell
That never came
hell
out of
no.
it, you know.
No way. No way.
So
Wasn't an
here's a
People
option.
do.
question.
People
Oh,
do, and
it's
you know,
crazy when they do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So question for both of you, because obviously, Chicago is known to be a flatter
Fast
marathon
race.
course. It's fast. Should we have one overall American record, but different American records for all the different majors? Like,
Uh,
should we, because, like Boston is very different from Chicago, is very different from London
So
and New York. And
so
so
you're
should
saying course records for each one, but then one overall, which is probably going to come from Chicago
an
anyway.
overall American record, but also like a separate like American record over at New York. Like it's still not, but like because you do have these target spots where on the track, it's basically the elements determine a lot, but the track is the track is the track, right? Indoor is a little different because you can get different surfaces that give you different advantages and
yeah,
banks and things like that.
in American society, when it comes to the major sports, a home run is a home run, whether the fence is Yankee Stadium with a short right field
Good
porch,
point.
or Death Valley left field, or Wrigley Field, stuff like that. Some of us can say, "Wow, if Ted Williams was a New York Yankee, boy, how many more home runs would he have hit?" Which is true. But It's hard. I remember in '96 at the Olympic trials, in his qualifying race, Michael Johnson broke the world record, but the wind reading was over 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
sports writer who knew nothing about running, he said it in the article, I don't follow track and field very much. He goes, why can't that count? Because, like, in baseball, you play at Colorado against the Rockies, you have a better chance to hit a home run because at a high altitude, you know? And, you know,
There's a
I
point,
think
right?
that
There's a point to be had
you
there.
take environment
There-
into play, it really dilutes and becomes a really big issue. However, having said that, if there's a certain track out there or a certain road race, everyone's like, well, crap, I'm going to run that one because it's
Yeah.
fast, like Berlin or Chicago. I remember
Mhm.
years ago, the elite milers, 800-meter guys, they all wanted to run in Rieti, Italy. For some reason, Rieti was the place to run a fast time. I believe it's where Coe also ran his 141.73 or whatever it was, right?
Probably just like freshly resurfaced or a brand new style of
Yeah,
track
yeah,
that
but I
no one has
remember
ran on.
everybody
And
wanted to go to Rieti. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but same thing with baseball, football, right? Hey, we're gonna go to Yankee Stadium. Our left-handed hitters will do great. Oh, we're gonna go to Colorado. Everyone's gonna pound a home run out of there. Like baseball has kept the records as the records, no asterisks, nothing like that. I
I
just
guess as long as everybody agrees upon it, right? It's the agreed
Yeah.
upon thing and
Sure.
there's no one
Yeah.
disputing it. So
Right.
I was just curious to what your perspective is because
I
again,
mean,
you know,
some of you might remember, Dave probably remembers this controversy with the New York Marathon when Salazar set the world best, in '81, and then in '82 and '83 with Rod Dixon. And then they found out that the course wasn't, measured along like certain angles of the road, and
But it was what it
or
was.
whatever,
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, the 208 is still the 208. Rod Dixon's 208.59 is still
Yeah,
208.
listen, they
Hey,
ran
look,
the
he did in a friggin' rainstorm, man.
they
Yeah,
ran
yeah.
the course.
Wind was at his back. How much faster would he
Yeah.
have been?
They ran
Boston
the course
Marathon.
that was laid out for them. So
Yeah, Boston
Mhm.
Marathon. Sometimes the wind's at your back. That Ryan
Yeah.
Hall had the wind at his back.
Yeah,
So did
yeah.
Billy Rogers in '75. The wind was like unbelievable in a good way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then there are days like when the wind's in your face.
Yeah.
Like I, I I don't know. I think sometimes I love the sport. I just think sometimes we get so technical that the mainstream
We do.
sports fan can't grasp it.
Agreed.
Now we could say, oh well,
Which is
they're just mainstream or whatever. But if you want to be
Right.
inclusive,
We want
and get
the
everybody on
mainstream.
board,
which is
Yes.
which is why I am thrilled what happened this weekend in Times Square.
So give me one
Oh, that was
second.
great.
Can we hold that thought? Because I
Okay.
want to get to some housekeeping that we didn't do
Yeah.
because we got into the gala and I didn't do any of our PRs. So now that we're 43 minutes into the show,
That's it.
and now that I've forced the Red Arrow Track Club kids to listen to it this long, let's give them their due. Real quick, we're going to shuffle over here because we always do our PRs. Our good friend, head coach Tom Figueroa, who Tom, you will eventually come on the show, whether you want to or not, gave us these PRs. He gave us last week. We had a couple of meets, one at home at Edwardsburg, Michigan against Sturgis and Vicksburg on Tuesday. Then we went over to Sturgis, Michigan for the Sturgis Kiwanis, which I love these names, Invitational on Saturday. No PRs for Tuesday, but we got a couple on Saturday. So both of them in 10th grade. Riley Zilai ran a 17 flat 12. And then we had Braden Shue ran an 18:05.90. And he thanks us for celebrating the sport. But we thank you, Coach, for always bringing that to us, and congrats to both of those gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Hey, congrats.
We missed Alex Scott on there. Alex, let's go. I'm rooting for sub 20. So Jeff, so do you don't know, Tom sends us these basically every week.
Which is
He
great.
has a sprinter that
100-meter
is running a 100-meter kid that has started on a quest, and I'm pretty sure the first one was like 25, 26.
No, I
He's
think it
now
was like 28,
around
29.
28. He's now right around like 23. I am rooting for him to get sub 20. Like
Yeah.
that would be so exciting if he can
We get
that.
pumped
So-
every week when we see his name. We're like,
Yeah. So
That's impressive.
and so I'm rooting for Riley. I'm rooting for Braden. Don't get me wrong, guys, but you guys are distance runners. You know what the, if we can get a 100-meter runner to break 20, I
Oh,
hope it doesn't affect his 100, but man, that would be awesome.
he might be going up to the 400.
He might have to
Yeah.
by that point, maybe at least for a season. I also want to give a few shout outs. Lawrenceville sophomore Blair Bartlett ran a 16:16 5K this week. You mean it's Coach Duncan over there? Like Dave,
Duncan.
obviously I wasn't on that show. You got to talk to Coach Duncan, but the unfortunate part about Lawrenceville is we will not see them at the state meet because
Private school.
they're not within the realm with the
NJSAA.
parochial. Yeah, they're not in there because they're kind of like Petty Academy and Blair and stuff like that in New Jersey. So since they're not a parochial Catholic, but they are,
listen,
so
that's
it
obviously
doesn't matter.
the
It's
New
awesome.
Jersey state record for cross country on
Yes.
any course.
Yes.
But then today we had sophomore Leah Starkey
ran a 17:31, which is only a few seconds off of Blair's Homedale record. Because Blair only ran like
Caitlin Toohey has the record's like 16:42.
Well, Blair's record there
this
so
year,
it's not too far for Blair, and it also beat Paige's sophomore run there.
Paige Shepard, yeah.
So meet of champs between Paige and Leah are going to be so much fun because Leah dominated today over our counties with 17:31. This early at Homedale, I mean, Coach Lynch is doing something there.
Man,
so I'm excited for them.
Wow. And then when you add in Blair for what is it called now? Brooks, because it's not Foot Locker anymore. Was it now?
Yeah, the Brooks.
Yeah. The Brooks. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, but I also do have some sadder news from the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
The GOAT, the greatest to ever do it in this state, Janet Smith from JP Stevens, has passed.
Mm-hmm.
She was and still is to this day, as of now, the greatest distance runner that the state has had. She had the national record at Kinney at Balboa Park. She ran 16:43 back in the 80s. It was the record for 7 years. She ran 17:30s at Homedale back when that was unheard of. Went on to NC State, represented the U.S. twice, just an absolute legend. And then she went on to create this amazing girls sports and running camp that was all about positivity. Just an absolute legend. Janet Smith is going to be missed, and she just is the epitome of what New Jersey distance running is all about. So kudos on an amazing career. Phenomenal runner.
Amazing person, great runner. And, we're going to transition, though, to another amazing person. Jeff, we had an 80-year-old finish the Ironman over in Kona, Natalie Grabow, 80 years old, finished an Ironman. I mean, when I'm 80, I'm hoping to still be on this planet. To be able to finish an Ironman. I mean, shout out to Natalie. Now, Jeff, what do you plan on doing when you're 80?
Breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Breathing. I plan on breathing when I'm 80.
Thank God thank God I to my ability. I'm not as fit as I used to be. I always bring this up. There's a fellow named Gene McCarthy who was a 4-minute miler, ran for Fordham, 3:42 1500. He proudly says, which converts to 3:59. So that's good.
Take that, baby.
I'll talk. And Gene was very involved with Nike, high level of the job. He was CEO of ASICS America for a while. Awesome. And I'll call Gene and go, "How's it going, Gene?" He'll be like, "Well, Jeff," he goes, "my mind still says I'm a 4-minute miler, but my body says otherwise." and that's the big challenge. That's really great. You should always follow it passionately. Try to be intelligent with your training. The one thing I have learned as you get older is that, hey, you're out for that run that day. You're supposed to run a certain pace. You're not up to it. You back off.
Yep.
Still run it, but go a little bit slower in the pace.
Sure.
Then it might be a day like you wake up, you feel terrible, and then the run is fantastic.
Yep.
So, but I do believe weight training is big.
Especially as you get older, you should be lifting heavier because it's better for you.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid in '81, Dave probably knows many high school coaches did not want the distance runners in the weight room.
No,
I had coaches who
my coach actually did, and it was good. We used to do these like 30-second workouts where we would go to something else every 30 seconds.
That's right.
Lightweight, ladder reps. Lightweight ladder reps. But I got one more shout out, Alex.
I know who you're gonna do.
Shout out to one of our past guests, Brian Prendergast and his Manalapan team for winning the Mom of the Can Championships today in cross country.
Huge.
All right, very good.
CBA didn't run all of their top guys, but
wins a win, baby.
Wins a win. Right.
They are now number 2 in the state, and it's going to be fun to see. There's so many great teams. Them, Union Catholic, CBA. I mean, Westville's always good. It's going to be fun on the boys and girls side as we get down to the nitty gritty here in NJ, and it's always a blast. So kudos, Brian. Kudos to Manalapan. Awesome job.
That's great. That's
the
great.
Last shout out before we get into Athlos, which was a great event.
Right.
Matty Centrowitz Jr., we talked about already. New PR in the marathon, a 2:22. I mean, good for him. Listen, he doesn't have to be out there. He doesn't have to be training hard anymore.
He loves
doing
to run.
any of this. He just loves to run. And 2:22, when you're basically retired, no slouch.
Listen,
so, shout out to Central.
if anybody has a
He's working a
chance,
full-time job in Chicago.
Yep.
You know what? He's always loved running. And
Yes. Yes.
and there's no pressure on him anymore.
Nope.
And
No, it's
and
so
he's
nice.
doing a
we'll
great
see where the marathon
commentating.
takes
You know,
him. If he does another one, who the heck knows if he's going to do another one?
listen, I love the Athletes Lounge because he's funny. His perspective is great.
He's great.
But and he had anybody who hasn't seen it, check out Track Access. They have a special with Matty Centrowitz doing a 25-mile run.
Yeah.
He just talks about all these different things, and he talks about how one of his favorite things to do now is to pace female athletes to run the Desega, which is awesome. I mean, he's just a cool guy. He's fun, and he will forever be U.S. champion in the Olympics.
Absolutely, gold medalist. Gold medal.
You know, I mean, but just a great guy, and he's great for what he does. He's so good for sport because he's outspoken. He's funny. He's quirky, and he knows his stuff. And the athletes talk to him. They will talk to him.
He never says no to an autograph or a pic with a kid.
Yep, awesome guy.
He's never done that. He never will.
So what you're saying is we need to corner him to get him to say yes.
Oh yeah, you gotta get him on the show, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Listen, he went on with Jonathan Gault and Let's Run, so I think he now should come on with us.
Yeah, okay? I think he should come on. Yeah, so I'll talk to his dad and we'll see what magic.
Like I said, his dad's mad at me for not reading the book yet. The moment I read the book, I'm pretty sure we'll get Senior right here.
You've read it twice, he said.
Yeah,
so
I did. It's just so funny meeting Senior and Junior because they seem like just complete opposite. Characters, like complete opposite in every realm possible. Well, but it worked for them.
The father was born in the Bronx, and people from the Bronx act and talk in a different way. And sometimes some people get offended by it, but what you have to understand is that that's their way of telling you that they love you.
And he's so much fun.
If you can get past that, you're good.
And and listen, his son got a lot of that dog in him too, man.
Yeah. He just doesn't speak like that, but but there's only one Centro Senior, so
the best.
Hey, I also wanted to give my own shout out. My publisher Larry Eater, phenomenal coverage at the Tokyo Worlds, but he did really great coverage at RunBlogRun on the social media sites for Chicago. And it's funny because like with Conor Mantz, I was able to see his splits that Larry was able to get, which was great. I mean, I watched it at home like you guys did, and my boss did a really good job.
We got to have Larry on the show. What are we doing?
New York for marathon as well, so.
We have to have Larry on. I don't know what we're doing. We're slacking. Larry's got to come on. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. So now to my favorite part of this week in terms of track and field. What happened in Times Square for Athlos? I thought it was cool. Do you know anybody who was there?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact,
I mean, the crowd looked awesome. The people were into it, and as always, Tara put on a show.
Right.
She is a lock to just put on a show. She is a lock.
Right. The Athlos guy puts a ton of money into this thing.
Oh yeah, Alexis Ohanian, Serena Williams' husband.
Serena Williams' husband.
Wondered.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry.
Last year was successful, but the question is, was he going to do it this year? And he did.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling this is a regular thing. But
well, now he wants to start an actual league.
They're going to start a league next year.
Yeah. And like from the New York perspective, you had Lauren Primerano on your show last week.
Yeah.
She does a phenomenal job organizationally.
She runs around so much.
Her organizational skills are superior to most people in the sport. And I'm not just talking about like Ocean Breeze, but also being involved with Randall's Island and all that stuff. And Lou Vasquez, who Lou is like every
those two are partners in crime.
Yeah. You talk about Lou Vasquez, who's an outstanding high school, collegiate, New York City 5-borough runner. Breaks 25 for 5 miles, in the road race heydays of the late 70s, early 80s. There's a great photo of him running with 83 New York City Marathon with, I believe, Greta Weitz. And Lou was sponsored by Athletic Attic, Then Lou went over to, he kept the Empire State Games going for so many years. That's long gone, unfortunately. And now from there, Lou coached Bishop Ford, where he had a nationally ranked high school program. I think his best runner was Will Arnold, if I remember the name correctly. And then from there, he was at the Armory, and then he's at Randall's. And he, Lauren, and their whole crew, they know how to put a production together. They know how to get those events right on time, keeping them going, whether it's little kids race or a meet like Athlos.
It's so
they
good.
know what they're doing. And I think they both should be making a ton of money consulting fees.
I
You
honestly
know,
think that we need to consider, like, if there is a New York Track and Field Hall of Fame, I don't know if there is. We should be putting Lauren, not only for and then Lou, not only for their accomplishments on the track and things like that and
their
running,
athletics, yeah.
but just for what they've done for the sport in
Yeah,
general, right?
yeah,
Because
I'm sure you mentioned last week, Lauren is being inducted into the Manhattan College
yes, yes,
Hall of
she
Fame.
is.
Well deserved, well
As
deserved.
she deserves. Yeah, amazing javelin thrower for them, one of the best they've
Yeah,
ever had.
yeah. I mean, she was an
Um,
Olympic trials
yeah,
competitor
yeah.
in the
Yeah,
javelin.
we talked about that and everything too. Like we had a great. If you haven't listened to last week, I recommend Jeff. She's so good.
Yeah, yeah,
It was such a good time to talk to her. But
yeah.
yeah, Tara putting on a show and then ultimately winning with a world lead the next night.
Right.
That was awesome. She ends her season on an extreme high note. I think she's third all time right now with that mark, which is ridiculous. That at the end,
Right.
and then you have Brittany Brown giving us a
Right.
sweep PRing in both the 100 and the 200.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And it
And
wasn't
then
great weather.
and
And
then
it's also the end of the season.
Correct.
you have
Um,
Keely Hodgkinson coming in and still
yeah,
running
running
a 150,
156, right?
running a 156,
So I
looking
want to ask.
great doing it.
I
And when
want to
she
ask
finished,
Jeff.
and by the way, when she finished the race, she took off her spikes and gave one gave each one to two different fans.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Jeff, question for you, because Alex and I differ here. Femke Bowl going to the eight,
Moving up.
going to the 8.
Moving
I
up.
think she's going to be right there with the top of the top.
Yeah.
We don't differ here. No. Here's why. Femke Bol ran the 800 in high school. She was an 800, 400 meter hurdler. She trains high. She doesn't train like a sprinter. And she's wanted to run the 800 for a long time. Femke Bol translating to a 156, 155, 800 meter runner wouldn't surprise me. Here's the thing.
You mean
Jeff,
tell me
Dave
we
says
have a debate.
that Sid can run a 153.
Absolutely.
Sid trains like a sprinter. Sid's
If
not
she
going anywhere
trained,
near
there's no doubt.
153.
If she trained, no, I
Her
have no doubt.
body shape is not that way.
She could
She
do
is
it.
not primed to do it. That's not
could do
what
it.
she does. Nope.
100%.
No.
She could do anything.
She
She
can't.
runs a 400 hurdles in 50 seconds.
I don't
400
care.
hurdles.
She can't run a
in
153.
50.
It's difficult because years ago, when Michael Johnson ran his 200s and 400s, I would be at the meets, media and stuff.
I said the same thing about MJ.
And, you looked at his form, and he wasn't a high knee lifter.
Nope.
More like a Jesse Owens, more rhythm.
Yep.
And I remember a couple of times I'd say to him, "Hey, Michael, man, why don't you try the 800?"
100%. I said that too.
He would say, "No, man, that ain't happening." In his own words,
Well, no,
that ain't happening.
well,
I'm like,
listen,
yeah,
I am still convinced Usain Bolt.
You go through 49, you could probably come back 50, 51. And he was like, nah. So, moving up is, it depends. Johnny Gray was the great 800 meter runner. I remember he once jumped in a 1500 meter. I remember watching it on TV on ESPN, and, Scott was in the race, Atkins. And Johnny might have won it, but he ran like 342. Yep. And he never ran one ever again.
Look at the 1500 meter runners dropping down to the 8. All these guys that are well under 4 minutes, 352 guys, and they sit there and in the Grand Slam games, after running the 15, they got torched. They ran a 146.
Yeah.
Translated that just because you do something in a few events does not mean that it translates.
It's a difficult challenge. Listen, with Cindy McLaughlin,
she's different.
I wouldn't put it past her. I'll leave it at that because she seems to be somebody who has
if you're telling me
possible and everything, but
the world record has to go away.
800. I just don't.
Some woman has to run that because that world record is the most tainted world record.
But here's the difference, Dave. If you're telling me Sid can run a 156, 155, I'm there. I think she can run. She can go and run with the world leaders, no problem.
She can run a
153 is not in her wheelhouse.
I think ran a 154. And I think Sid's just as good.
And the body shapes, the styles, the training is incredibly different.
I would love to see it. We will never see it, but I would love to. I still think that Usain Bolt would have run 42 seconds if he ever trained.
And his physical build was not for the 100.
Oh,
amazing! And
he was a 400 guy. He was he might have run 41 seconds. Like
that's possible. Yeah.
His training was also geared more towards a 400 because he was a 400 guy.
He just didn't like it.
He ran 45 in high school. Okay, so it's not like so. The thing is, you're talking about individuals that trained for those events at some point in their lives.
I think Sid
you're comparing Sid, who was a 100-meter hurdler and 400-meter hurdler in high school.
She could do it.
You guys might think I'm crazy, but just from studying from certain people, I think if you're going to move up in distance, I think you got to make cross country part of your regimen.
Well, yeah, I
You
mean,
don't have to
should.
run well in it, but you got to do it.
so
And if Seb Coe was a big cross country runner.
sure.
And
Well,
in that time
Femke
period,
has that.
constant messaging and Twitter and everything, he'd run these races, finish like 9th or 10th. Nobody would know, because it's buried like in Athletics Weekly magazine.
But he was getting strength. He was getting strong.
But Femke's going to have that because
And he
Europe has
convinced-
a very good
the
cross
story,
country
he
tradition.
convinced Jake Whiteman, you
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
walk cross country.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and I think like Bowl, I mean, it would be cool to see Femke Bowl run the world cross country in Tallahassee in January.
I think she's going
not
to because
expecting her to
Europe
win,
has.
but I'm expecting her to do it because it's just such a great strength builder. And the lactic, I call it the lactic acid attacks.
Yeah.
Lactic acid attacks in cross country really prepare you for the 800.
Sure.
So the 800
Jeff,
is so painful.
We had to talk about 2 weeks ago. Because when I was young, it was always guys would run the 8 and the 15. Now it seems like it's 15 and the 5.
Yes.
Like
it
seems like more guys who run 15. I mean, you got Hocker, you got Jakob. Like it seems like the 15-8 doesn't really have, which is why I kind of liked Grand Slam because they
they toyed around.
They brought it back. So why do you think more 1,500 guys are going away from the 8 and more towards the 5?
I think they look at the 8 as way too fast. I think that they have turnover for a mile and a 5K and a 3,000, but to drop down to the 8, I think you mentioned some of these guys are running 146. 146 is still a great time, but
it's nothing at the world stage.
Today, it's
nothing.
Past a dime a dozen. There are guys running 143, and that's dime a dozen.
We had a high school kid run a 142 at 16.
So how do we account for Wanyoni, who can run a 141, but then also jumps up and runs a 332? Like, how do we account for a guy like that? Who I think if Wanyoni, he's someone. If Wanyoni trained for the 15,
he has more speed than endurance.
But if Wanyoni trains for the 15,
he's at 332.
He's sub 330 if he trains for it. That's a guy. Wanyoni's sub 330 if he trains for it. Where there's a difference there.
Yeah. I think the specific kind of speed work is not there. I'm always curious to see, like with Bryce move up to 15, and just see if he could break 330, I don't know. I don't know.
Didn't Bryce run in the Grand Slam? I think he struggled in the 15. Didn't he run one? I think he ran one meet, and he struggled mightily. He ran like a 338.
He also struggled. I don't think that this was his best year. I think the 141.
Still ran a 142.
He still ran great. He still ran great, but he wasn't as consistent.
This is Josh Hoey, right? Great 800. He's sub 330, 15 now. And it's so funny.
Talk about a breakout guy, man. He is just on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I remember over the summer, and I saw his brother Jackson, who's a pretty damn good runner himself, and his father, Mr. Hoey. I call him Mr. Hoey. They train him like 800, 1500, and like you said, you don't see that.
No,
but they were able to do it. And I was really hoping that he would make the world team in the 15.
I was too.
Me too. He could have, but I was hoping for almost like I call it the Sebastian Coe turnover. The 800 meter runner who jumped up, boom, world record. You know, and to be honest with you, stay tuned with Josh Hoey. I mean, right now
he's gonna be so good.
Right now he is training at altitude in October. And I'm wondering, with this year coming up, where there's really no championship really of note per se.
Kind of nice.
There might be the showdown races that Coe is creating, with World Athletics, which is great. But this is really the year, I think, beginning even in December.
World record time.
These runners could go for world records.
World records this year is a big world record year.
100 up to the 5,000, 10,000 as well, because you could bang it out in June and you don't have to worry about the world championships later on. I also think that one of the reasons that some people did bomb out at the world championships is because when it was held, you're running great in July, you're running great
after Diamond League,
and
it was late this year.
Right. And these athletes are in a bad situation because it's income. They got to make money.
Yeah.
You
make money Diamond League. Yep.
Right. And I remember in 1988, the Seoul Olympics were at the end of September, and the 1,500 meter had Steve Scott, Steve Cram, Peter Elliott. Peter Rono of Kenya won. He had never won a race before it. I think he's never won a race after it. He ran for Mount St. Mary. Basically, if you watch the race, I think he won in like 335 or 336. But literally with like almost a little 900 to go, he was in the lead. And these guys just couldn't turn it on over the last 200, 100 to outkick him.
The legs were beat.
but he wasn't kicking so extraordinarily that he was decisively beating these other guys while leg dead, you know? And if you look at that year in July, Steve Scott did run 3:49 for the Dream Mile in Oslo. Cranley won it, I believe, 3:49, 3:48. You know, did they peak too soon?
Possibly,
You know?
that's a big part of it.
So,
So, real
yeah,
quick,
But
if you're Yared Naguse right now, and
yeah,
you're watching Cole Hocker get the Olympic 15, Cole Hocker coming back winning the World 5K, and if he didn't get DQ'd, has a good chance at winning that terrible 15 that they ran over there. If you're Yared Naguse and it's like, hey, I set the American record in the indoor. What is going on right now? Like,
yeah. You know,
I
it's
should have
it's
been where Cole
possible.
is. Like,
You
he's
know,
been to me. If I'm looking at
might have been too
but here's
early
the
in the
thing,
winter.
it might be
with
too
what Josh
much
Hoey
racing
did,
too early,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you know, and listen, Naguse at the trials. I mean, took the lead right from the beginning. You
yeah.
know, that's the hardest way to win. You know, like if you remember the movie Without Limits, they talk about, you know, Prefontaine Revere, and then they use the line in the movie. He goes, one man made the race and
One
another
man
man
won the
won
race.
it.
Yep.
But the thing is,
And
though,
Naguse made that race. But
but Pre didn't go early. And if Pre
no,
would have, and they said too, if Pre would have ran like he ran in the United States trials, he would have been on that team because his time would have
the
blown. Like
podium, yeah, the
he
podium.
would have at least placed. He probably wouldn't have won because again, Lasse Viren had already
Right,
still run faster at that point,
right.
but he would have probably placed because he would have been better than I forget the Spanishman that was in there and the Brit that was in there.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
there were
yeah.
better
The
times in
Spanish guy, Harrow of Spain.
Harrow, yeah, there were better times. The time that he ran at the trials was better times than both of them
Yeah.
had ran that year. So it was a funky thing. But with Naguse too, it's like I still look at him like we talk about Hoey, we talk about Hocker. To me, Yar Naguse is still the cream, right? Of American
I think
miles.
he is without a doubt a power to be
Because
reckoned with. But like I
if you,
said, different people react different ways. Like, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I remember seeing Josh Kerr at the Milrose Games press conference last February, and we were talking a little bit about training and stuff. And I mentioned in the story I just mentioned to you with 88, you know, about how like you know, a lot of these guys were banging out great indoor miles, running well in April, May, June, July, and then the Olympics were at the end of September. They were tanked, you know,
yeah.
and next thing I know, Josh Kerr is not running the Milrose games.
Yep. Yeah,
You
he
know,
pulled out.
and
Yeah.
remember he went like almost into a cocoon of sorts, you know. But I believe he was having a hamstring issue, you know, which he didn't
Which
reveal.
popped back up at the Worlds. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So and you know, it's listen at their level, it is so hard to maintain that top in middle distance running and long distance running.
Look at Grant Fisher. I mean, he was just spent. He was spent.
Yeah, I mean, you can be running 3:32 for 1500, and then 2 months later you're running 3:43. Like all of a sudden you're tanked, you know. And that happened a lot. Like if you ever see like the Fifth Avenue Mile, which traditionally used to end the season for all the
Yep,
miles, right?
yep,
These guys had great European track seasons. They come to Fifth Avenue and they bomb out. You know, I
yeah,
remember like, I forget who it was, but one runner who was like a 3:52 miler ran like 4:07. You
yeah.
know, and
It's tough.
fumes.
And
You
it's
know,
slightly downhill.
the guy was running on fumes, and it's so hard to maintain
Sure.
that peak, you know. And the
Yes.
American system of selection, which by the way, I fully support because it's cutthroat, but it's the fairest way.
Sure.
It really is. When that thing fell at the Olympic trials, you know, last year, I was very distraught and upset about that as well.
Sure.
But I was just as upset when Jim Spivey finished fourth in the 88 Olympic trials after having the world's fastest 1500 meter time.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And what did Jim do about it 4 years later? He won the trials.
Well, it's
So,
like any sport, right? Any sport, you have to bring it at that moment. What you
right,
did before that moment doesn't matter. That but in sports like team sports, you get to the playoffs because you did well in the regular season.
right.
That's a new season
Yeah,
of the
look,
playoffs, and it doesn't
so for
matter
instance,
what happens there.
The temptation of money and appearances. Run
Yes.
this race, run that race. At the '84
Yeah.
Olympics, you might Dave remembers this. Rob DiCostello was one of the favorites. One of the great marathoners from Australia. He was undefeated and all that stuff, right? But Deke admitted this later on. He goes, beginning in '83 through early '84, I mean, people were throwing money at me left and right. I couldn't turn down flying to
Sure.
a 10K somewhere in 29 minutes and walk away with like $7,000. This is 1984.
That's
You know?
great money then.
Yeah, and the money was
It's
being
good money now for runners. That's great money
Well,
now.
listen, look,
You're
so
making $7,000 now. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Here's a
Bill
question.
Rogers runs the Olympic marathon trials that year. I mean, he was kind of toasted, but Bill was racing everywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And
So like,
it's like somebody calls you and says, we want you to run the race. Here's 5,000. You're like,
You have to do it.
listen, I really want to do it, but my training and stuff. And they'll say, okay, 10,000. And
Yeah, I mean,
what are you gonna say?
Look at Grant Fisher. Like I think Grand Slam definitely hurt his season, and then to not get even paid was crazy. But so
Grant ran crap races. I'm sorry. I'm not giving Grant excuses for letting the races be slow when you are one of the premier athletes. I'm sorry. He allowed himself.
They all did.
But if you're on fumes and you know you're on fumes, why are you leaving it to a kick when you're not the best kicker there? If you were a great kicker, that's different. Grant's not a great kicker. Grant is a rhythm guy. So
you're at 348.
I don't care. He ran a 348. He's not that. He's not a kicker. He's never been a kicker. That's not his thing. He's
the person who can run any kind of race.
He can run definitely has turnover. The guy definitely has turnover.
He can run a fast last mile, but he's not a 400-meter runner. Not like the way the Kenyans and the Africans train that 400. Okay, so they are very good at that. And Jakob. So honestly, I'm not buying Grant was spent. I won't do it because he didn't run fast at Grand Slam either. Okay.
No one did.
It's like no one did. So he was not spent. His training was elongated. He ran like a scared American at a championship race. And I would love to have Grant Fisher on this show. And I hope this doesn't deter it because I would love to hear an explanation for why him being one of the top 3 fastest runners in the world in both the 5K and 10K decided to act like he couldn't win that race. Like Bolton, it drove me nuts watching that. I won't make the excuse that he's
respectfully, Grant definitely has a thick skin, so I don't think
And I think he'll accept that too. I think he will say, "I probably should have ran faster in both of those races." Yeah. I think he would say that.
Yeah, it's funny though. You watch Grant's form; he does remind me of a young Frank Shorter.
Yeah,
yes. And I wonder, if he will move up. What would happen because
he'll go marathon.
He carries himself, his gait, the way his arms are, around his hips. He looks like I said. You watch Frank Shorter in those 5,000s, 10,000s. Even after 72 with the gold medal, there's just a way that Frank himself with his form, and Grant reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah, we had Carrie Elwood on 2 weeks ago, and I'm still shocked that more of these pros don't just go right to the roads. That's where all the money is. On the road.
What's funny? It is, but it isn't these days.
Okay.
And the problem is that there's money without a doubt for the top 3 finishers.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Once you get to 4th through 15th place at a race like the Falmouth Road Race or those other races, the money is not really there much anymore. Okay. And the biggest issue that's going on with road racing today, the younger generation who runs these races, they're looking at more at cost and profit compared to how much money they're going to give somebody, because some people have the attitude like, well, listen, 10,000 people are showing up anyway. Whether you have the Olympic champion or not, we have 10,000 people showing up. And there is people out there who have those feelings, who are in positions with their road races that goes on. I would have to tell you in the 80s,
those people suck.
They threw so much money at you in the early 80s and late 70s. Oh my God. Yeah. I mentioned Tony Stanings before. Tony was talking about how he would get phone calls to come to these races. They paid for the airfare, hotel, and they gave you money. And then if you did well, they gave you more money.
Yeah, it's not the same, like you said. And it's weird too, because we're at a time where we're in another running boom. Like I think we are in another running boom in this country.
We're in more people are running today, especially after COVID.
But it's different than it was though, because like you said before, it created the running celebrity. It created your Bill Rogers. It created those guys that they wanted to be the running celebrities, and people wanted to be like them. Where now, like you said, it's more of a fitness thing now. So people just want to get into those races.
To have like an Olympic champion join you for a group run or something like that, it's more of a novelty than like an inspirational thing.
Yes.
But people, from what I'm reading, the running boom, not just with runners, but the economy, they're saying like New York City last year made like over $1 billion in gross just on running related stuff. The New York Road Runners Club has a wonderful problem that's even worse than our Gala. They put their race online. It sells out within like seconds.
I love that.
Now the Road Runners just announced that, your membership is this amount, but if you decide to enter your membership at this amount higher, you'll get early access to these races, and people complain and people go nuts and it's so expensive.
But they pay anyway.
They still pay anyway. It's almost like the baseball thing. I'm at a Met game at the pizza. Slice is $17 a slice, right?
What are you gonna do though, right?
Complaining. He's buying 4 of them. You
Right.
know? So like, people pay. And it's so funny because with the cancellation this past weekend of the Staten Island half marathon because of the weather,
Yep.
most of the New York Road Runners has the 9+1 thing. You run 9 of their required races, volunteer 1, you're in the marathon. So
Yep.
they offered either a full refund for the race, I think it's like $200, or we'll count it towards your 9+1. And I have a feeling that the majority of those runners took the 9+1.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they? That's a
Yeah,
smart thing to do. So
I without a doubt believe that. I could be wrong, but I truly believe if I was in their boat and I wanted to run a marathon, I would absolutely take that 9.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, what else can we look forward to in Staten Island? I know we have the championships in cross country
Right.
coming over at Ocean Breeze. Is there anything else coming up that SIRA is working on or working with outside of the gala or anything like that you want to talk about?
Well, what's interesting is that this Saturday is Staten Island High School Cross Country Championship.
Hmm.
We are the only borough out of all of them. Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan cannot do it. We do it. We're able to get the public, Catholic, and the private all together
That's
for
so
a
cool.
true cross country championship, a true indoor championship, and a true outdoor championship. So if you win the Staten Island Cross Country Championship individually, you are the best cross country high school runner on Staten Island. There was no debate. You know, um, uh, indoor season, same thing. Outdoor
Sure.
season, the same thing. As a Staten Island person who has run these meets, uh, I always felt, and even Charlie Marsala, who became a world-class miler, will tell you, I agree with Charlie. We never felt as nervous or full of like that nervous energy than we did at an island championship.
Oh, listen. Yeah,
Your peers
I
are
know
there.
kids.
It's bragging rights. You're the best in the borough if you win.
Sure. And
Not public, not
yep,
private. The whole borough.
I know kids here who get more excited for their county meet because that's everyone local. Like that's your whole
Yeah.
circle. That's what matters. Is it
Well,
like
I think,
states are great, but like you're competing against people that are from the next town over or the next town
Right.
over that
but
are
our
close.
comparison though is the Meta Champs, though. I feel like the Meta Champs for New
That's
Jersey, though,
yeah, that
is
also.
that same feeling as the Staten Island, like you described, because like the nerves are
It's the
there
best of the best of the best.
and the bragging rights there. And like you said, you're the best in the borough for Jersey. Like you win the Meta Champs, you earn the right to get there. There is undeniable you're the best in the state, and it's
Right.
not a
And
question.
especially with Charlie Marsala and his ability, I mean, he could have put on basketball shoes. He still would have won individually,
Yeah.
But he was nervous. He was nervous,
Of
and
course, yeah,
like,
everyone gets there.
yeah, and like I said, it's just a special thing. You can't bottle it, as I like to say, So, but as far as races go on, the Richmond Rockets have a Halloween run on the Sunday before Halloween, the week
That's
before,
cool.
costumes and all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, we have the Moochie Struck Veterans Day race created in 1946 in
Nice.
honor of 2 guys killed in World War One. It was canceled for a few
long
years, but
race.
it's the oldest Staten Island race. But the oldest continual race is the Lou Marley Thanksgiving Day 3-mile run on Thanksgiving morning.
Very cool.
Created in 1948. Lou Marley was a great benefactor to the borough, a pharmacist. He has a baseball connection. He played baseball in Brooklyn in high school with Hank Greenberg, the great home run hitter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Mr. Marley actually brought Greenberg and Joe DiMaggio to Clove Lakes Park in full uniform to meet all the kids and everything.
Very cool.
Yeah, and a bunch of runners back then approached Mr. Marley and said, we'd like to keep this, want to do a turkey trot. And ironically, Mr. Marley said, well, listen, I don't want it named after me, but that's we believe it is the only race, definitely on Thanksgiving, where you don't pay a fee. You just show up and run.
Wow.
You go,
That's cool.
you fill out a card, you pin it on your thing. There's no shirt. It's all no frills. It's gotten so big with 900 people showing up
That's
that
awesome.
we have different races, so different age groups, and everybody under the age of 13 in all those races gets a turkey trophy.
That's awesome.
And there's the 3-mile race for 40 and above men, women's only, and then the men's championship. And you can't argue that whoever wins the Marley run on that day is kind of like the Staten Island champion. The college kids are home, the high school kids are
Yeah.
running,
That's fun.
everybody like that. And in 1995, this is my 30th anniversary. I won one.
There we go.
There you go.
My coach from 90 to like 2013 was Tom Fleming. And
Okay.
Wow.
And I would talk to Tom about
Yeah.
certain local races. And Tom knew the borough very well. He coached other people here too. Michael Cusick, a former assemblyman who now runs an economic development program, ran for Villanova. Frank McConville, who ran for Georgetown, was coached by Tom as well later on, 222 marathoner. And Tom was like, "Boy, you really like that Thanksgiving Day run?" I go, "Yeah." I go, I want to run my personal best. I really didn't care about what place. And he was like, "All right, well, I'm going to train you." And the goal was to run 15:20 on that day. It was a year-long training program. I bought into it. And he warned me. He said, "There's going to be some races along the way where you're not going to run very well because you're in a certain mode of training." And I had no doubt. I totally believed him. There was never any questioning.
It's huge.
And I got to the race. I ran 15:21 and I won, which added
Nice.
to the thing. And it was the end of the first running boom at that time. There were times where guys ran 14 flat, 14:05. Bob Andrews, Robbie Andrews' father,
I
won
know
the
him.
race 3 times. One
I know him
time
very well.
14:22. And I remember when I ran the 15:21, I was happy I won, but I was embarrassed a little bit by the time. And the former great Farrell coach who wrote for the Staten Island Advance, who passed away a few years ago, George Kochman.
Oh yeah.
Your coach Kochman has a brick at his Monsignor Farrell team won a championship of America. Penn relays, he's on the wall, the brick on the wall. And I remember telling Kochman, like, "Well, I only ran 15:21. He basically said, "Nonsense." He goes, "You're the man on the day. That's it. If other people are not going to show up, that's not on you."
100%. Yeah.
So, but I'm from the mind. I think Dave and I are from this generation. I could have finished 50th, but I ran 15:21. I still would have been thrilled to death.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And coming off one of the final turns of the race where you're not supposed to look behind you, but I did a little glance. Out of all the runners that were behind me, the one guy I was looking for was Bob Andrews, because Bob had a kick. You think Robbie got it from his
I know.
Bob,
Listen, Bob is
Race
my
deadly.
Bob is my boss. I coach the local youth running for him.
Right.
He's a great guy.
Right. And in 95, by the way, Bob was a little more longer in the tooth.
Yeah.
So he was still great, but he wasn't the 14-minute guy. But I also knew, like, I was running around 15:20. I knew he could probably get there. But thankfully, like I said, I was very lucky on the day. And that's my individual proud moment of running.
Nice.
And I immediately came home and I interrupted Tom Fleming with his turkey dinner. I said, "Tom, I won."
So, Jeff.
And Tom obviously is someone who
dearly. So, Jeff, as always, we want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate it, brother.
No, thank you, guys. Listen, great service you're doing. Hey, I thank my Hummelstown friend for chiming in. It's really awesome.
Yes.
Yep. No, really appreciate it. Always grateful to everyone. We've all had people help us along the way. Yes. And, we're at the age now where we want to try to help out people younger than us.
Definitely.
Show them, that this is a great sport. No matter your size, your weight, your height, your width, there's an event for everybody.
100%.
And almost every high school team, you don't get cut.
Exactly.
Just show up. I tell when I sub now, I'm retired, but when I sub now, I tell the kids that all the time. I'm like, show up for the track team. There's no cuts.
Exactly. You're going to compete somehow.
You're always inclusive, which is wonderful.
So once again, he is Jeff Benjamin. He is the senior writer over at RunBlogRun. If you want to go over to runblogrun.com, there it is. You could see some stuff that Jeff runs. His first one is, it's RunBlogRun STG right there. But Jeff has his articles there that he writes, and this is a great website if you like running, especially over, national stuff, Staten Island stuff. Definitely go over here, give it a look, make sure you go. If you can attend the Legends Gala, do it. It's October 29th. Make sure you get in touch with Jeff. If you
Please
just go,
reach out to me. Please reach out to me.
Jeff Benjamin's Running World. You can find him there, and you make sure get in contact with him. Go buy a ticket. You'll meet amazing people. Dave was there last 2 years. I was there with them last year. We will do our best to get back there next year because it's awesome. So 100% do that. And we appreciate everyone for watching, listening, all that good stuff. Make sure you give us a like, share, follow, all that good stuff. And we'll be back next week, Dave, and we'll have a good time. Jeff, as always, it's great talking to you. We will